I'm a biker, true and proud, ride an iron horse that's free and wild. A biker, true and proud, admitting I'm scared is not allowed. I may not look so mean and tough, but let me tell you so, I'm no powder puff. What it takes to ride, well, I got the stuff. I got what it takes to ride. Got what it takes to ride. Got what it takes to ride. Welcome back, everybody, to It's Never Too High. We have an audience today. We are in a new setting. We are at NYPVG Studios in beautiful Belmore, New York.
Yeah, I didn't have to make a fire tonight.
No, we got the new background. We got people here. It's pretty cool. It's a party going on. And we have to warn you because he's had what? A double espresso?
Double espresso.
He's ready to.
I'm ready. I'm going to steal the show tonight. Just give you a little heads up.
A little heads up. Yeah, I noticed how he was like kind of moving the microphone over towards him earlier. Yeah.
What microphone?
Last week,
Jeez.
we went off on a tangent.
Where did we go?
We went off on a tangent.
I want to know where we're going next week.
Oh, yeah. Well, how about we do this week?
All right.
Let's
all right.
Stay in the moment. Just stay in the moment. So last week we went off on a tangent and we were talking about when we were riding in the rain. We've done a lot of riding in the rain. And I have a couple of riding in the rain songs from some of our experiences and how a lot of times we end up underneath an overpass. And we told the story about when he was trying to get a cigarette lit on it and everything was wet and we were wet. And remember one time we were in the pink?
You're lucky you made it past that.
Yeah, I'm lucky I made it past that day. We were in did you ever look at the radar and see pink? We've seen pink. There's green and then there's red and then there's pink. There's yellow and then there's pink. And that's like when you're in the middle of thunder and lightning, and we've been there.
We were directly under that.
Yeah.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah. So I went back and I got the song that I wrote about being underneath an overpass in the rain that we talked about last week. So we figured we start this show off, and hopefully you remember the story. And here's the story if you don't remember. It's called Underneath an Overpass. We were riding from Daytona to Kissimmee making tracks. It was 4 a.m. and pouring rain, and I was on the back. 50-mile-an-hour winds blew trucks right off of the road. We were anxious, we were tired, we were soaked and we were cold. The night was closing in on us, it was late and getting later, but the rain kept getting to the bike and choked the carburetor. So every now and then we'd stall and have to wait it out. at the water gushing down outside the bridge, and his lighter on the engine, it was colder than a fridge. Eventually he got it lit and looked calmer, well he tried, but the sight of him wet with a bent cigarette got me giggling inside. We were underneath an overpass with the rain pouring down. The wind was blowing round so hard that trucks were being tossed around. We were soaked right through our leathers from our head down to our toes, as I watched a drop of water drip right off of his nose and right onto his cigarette. Well, I just couldn't help myself, he really was a sight, and I felt a smirk come and tried to hide it as I might. He glared at me and sternly said a harsh, emphatic don't. I couldn't hold it anymore, and a flood of laughter broke. Once it broke, I couldn't stop, and the matter still he got, which only made me laugh the more till my side was in a knot. Tears of laughter soaked my face even more than the gushing rain. Thank God the bike was running now, and we were on our way again. We were underneath an overpass with the rain pouring down. The wind was blowing sideways and trucks were being tossed around. We were soaked right through our leathers from our head down to our toes. Tired, drenched and frozen, it's the life that we done chose. Eventually we made it back to our hotel safe and sound, and peeled off all our leathers till purple skin we found. By the way, it don't wash off, you're walking great for days. Takes the same to dry out leathers laid out in sunlight's rays. I live to tell the story, he didn't shoot me, well not yet, but I still get a wholesome chuckle from the night I can't forget. Walked away with a story to tell as the conversation lagged, and the lesson learned is never ride without reindeer in your saddlebag. We were underneath an overpass with the rain pouring down. The wind was blowing sideways and trucks were being tossed around. We were soaked right through our leathers from our heads right to our toes. Well, that's how it is with biking, yet our love for it still grows. Yeah, that's how it is with biking, yet our love for it still grows. So that was the story that we told you about last week. And we remember how we got under that overpass. We were riding with our friends. Tell them.
Oh, it was terrible. The rain was getting behind my glasses. I was over the windshield. It was just...
Your glasses fog up in the rain.
It was terrible. So, I got to the point where I don't have to ride. I'm not in no hurry to get home. I have my motorcycle. I got my wife. I see you guys. So we found this overpass that you saw the picture of, and we stayed there. I looked at the radar. I said, you know what? The rain's going to stop. My friends rode home. They got splashed by cars. One of them was afraid of lightning, so he stayed in his garage when he got home. And we didn't hit another drop of rain on the way home.
We rode home. We waited 45 minutes under that bridge, and we went home. But when we got off the road, there were 18-wheelers going by us. We were on like a 6-lane highway. We were in the middle lane, and a wave came over our front tires. And that's when I remember him saying, I'm done.
Yep,
that's it. I'm done. He pulled off. He says, I'm going to find a bridge.
Hey, you got to live to ride another day.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. So we were there, and then it ended, and we had a nice ride home, and they were in the rain the whole way.
It's always an adventure.
Yeah, it's always an adventure.
Where are we going next?
So we're going to talk about, we're going to change gears, and we're going back to upstate New York.
Okay. Downshift?
Literally.
Rather upshift.
Oh, we're talking about upstate New York and all the great places that people don't know about. And we found a place called Clayton, New York. Clayton is amazing.
Look, that's a hotel. What is it? 4 rooms, 5 rooms?
It's like 5 rooms. It's by this old couple that own it, and it's called the Wooden Boat Inn. I think it was. We went there. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, and we're on
we wanted to see the St. Lawrence Seaway, like most New Yorkers. It's like, oh, I've heard of that. Oh, that's outside our room. That we had a little door there. You get like a little cottage almost. It's so cute. They have it all nautical inside. So we went there, and the St. Lawrence Seaway they call it 1,000 Islands, and that's because this is 1,000 little islands in the middle of it. You can actually you can buy a little island. They were saying, well, this one was just big enough to have a house, and people would send boatloads of wood and build like little houses on the
37 cents short. I had the money in my pocket.
And if you go in the middle of the St. Lawrence Seaway, it's the line for Canada. It's the line for Canada. And so you have to kind of know where that invisible line is. Okay. All right. Tell them when we checked in. Tell them the story when we checked in to the wooden boat.
So we're checking in, and it's a nice older couple that own the place.
Vivian and Valerie.
So they tell us about
Valerie and Bernie. Vivian.
Yeah, I think so.
Bernie.
So they're telling us about the line in the Seaway, and not to cross it. So I asked her, "Did you bring your passport? Because you have to have your passport if you go over the line."
I didn't think to bring it. I said no.
And I turned to her and I said, "You idiot!" Which.
Okay, that's a private joke between us where we say, "You idiot, you're an idiot." Because friends of ours, she used to say that to her husband. We cracked up every time she did it.
The lady comes flying out of the back room. What'd you say to her? I said, no. It's just a joke.
And she was all like, she was ready to clobber him.
I think she was going to hit me with the coffee pot.
It's going to hit him. Oh. And what did you say? We had to like explain the whole joke and how so you have to be careful when you have your private jokes and you say them out loud. But we didn't have our passport, so we couldn't go to Canada. So we had to stay on our side of the river. It was great anyway. So
we made friends with those people. They liked us.
Friends with those people. So Clayton.
Oh, the brewery. That's where we met those other bikers from Tennessee.
Yeah.
And they became, we got their numbers. We became our friends now.
What's really cool about Clayton is this tiny little town. And if you stay in any of these little hotels, you walk to everything. So that's a brewery, and they make their own beer there. And we could have some beer. We only had to stumble back. We didn't have to ride back. And there was the bikers from Tennessee, right. And let's try. They have the sampler thing, and they have some food, and we're just having a grand old time.
The only other bikers in the whole place sat right next to us.
Yeah, bikers.
Then we find out they stayed in the same hotel.
Yeah.
You couldn't have planned it.
No, it was great. So I had all the bikes in front of the hotel. It was really cool. And right by there, we were right on the St. Lawrence Seaway, and there was a dock, and it had a beautiful sunset. So we did a selfie there on the dock. Look at that beautiful, beautiful sunset. Isn't that pretty?
The water was crystal clear.
It was so beautiful. There is so much to see on the St. Lawrence Seaway in Clayton, and you can go up to Alexandria Bay. It's beautiful up there.
Bolt Castle.
Well, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to Bolt Castle. No, because I have your absolute favorite picture. You said, don't forget to include my Osprey.
Oh, yes.
So
this picture was taken from the end of a dock that had to be well over 100 feet away. But my wonderful camera on my cell phone took that picture. I snapped, several pictures all at once, and I got it just as it was landing.
Right on its nest, right at the end of the dock. So he's so proud of that picture, the Osprey picture. We had to put it in. So there's your Osprey picture.
That's my picture.
That's your picture. He said you got to put the picture in. The big thing to do in Clayton, they have the Antique Boat Museum.
What a
if
cool
you
place.
like boats, and even if you don't like boats, this place, we spent a day and a half there. I think 2 days there.
I thought 3 days.
Oh, I think they have all these antique wooden boats. Pardon me. And you can actually get to take a ride on one of them, which was one of the most remarkable experiences. Is that our next? No. This is Curtis in the boat at the museum. There he is.
That's actually a fiberglass boat that they painted to look like wood.
Yeah. And that's us just as you get into the Antique Boat Museum, and they have buildings and buildings and buildings of boats, and they have that outside for the kids to have a picture taken in. But you look cute, honey. You look.
It was for adults too.
Yeah, you fit.
You
fit. So we have fun. And then the next picture, what do we have? The boat ride. We got to take a ride on this antique wooden boat. It is fantastic. And you think, okay, it's an antique. This thing will probably just putter along. This thing cruises. It books. You will be able to see in a picture we took, a video we took, Look at our hair and look at the wake in the back. This boat, I don't know how fast
My
were we
hair was
going?
just blowing in the wind, wasn't
Oh,
it?
your hair is
Yeah.
terrible. And we actually took a little bit of a video. You can see us to get kind of more of a feel of how fast it is.
Oh,
That
a good-looking guy in that boat. I don't know who he was.
I don't know who that was. He was kind of cute though.
Yeah.
He has dimples. He's very, very cute.
He's not my type, though.
My
Wouldn't
type.
go for him.
That was probably the best part of the Antique Boat Museum, was actually taking a ride in that boat and see when was that boat built? How old was that? Like from the 30s, the 40s?
Oh, yeah.
It was
yeah.
old, and that thing moved, and it was beautiful wood and perfect condition.
Well, they fiberglass over them now, so they last a lot longer. But they were telling us that boat, that exact boat, they put like 3 engines in it because
I
they
don't
used
remember.
it, and they did all those tours with it.
They beefed it up, and
Yeah,
That-
they wouldn't let us take that one to the Bolt Castle.
no.
Or to the yacht house. That was cool.
Oh well, we'll get to Bolt Castle.
We're going there?
That's a whole.
Oh.
So we are going to go there.
Let's go.
We didn't know it then. So what else? Oh, they had the houseboat. This is called La Duchesse. It was built in 1903 for George Bolt, who built the castle. He was a big hotelier. I don't know. It was one of the big ones. I don't know if it was the big one in the Astoria, Waldorf Astoria. I don't know if it was that
something
one,
like
or,
that.
but he was a big hotel person back in the early 1900s. And they had this houseboat built. And then they sold it to the McNally family, who beefed it up. And you get to go on the boat, and they have a lot of the original furniture in there, and sitting rooms and bedrooms and dining room. And
They had a
they,
grand piano in the thing, didn't they?
oh, it was
I think it was like the biggest houseboat of the time.
and yeah, it was very, very famous. And they were talking about what the money it takes to upkeep this boat. It's like $100,000 or something. It's just to keep it up, and so it doesn't
Well, it sank
deteriorate.
that time too.
Yeah, it sank. That's
in
right.
the yacht house.
in there, and they had to pick it up and redo it. Well, I am not really good on the water. If you put me on a speedboat and we're cruising, I'm fine. But if you put me on a boat that's kind of rocking a little bit, like if you go on a cruise, or if you go on like a boat to go fishing, right? LaShawn's nodding her head. Yep. Yep. So you can't put me on a fishing boat, because the second you stop to fish and the boat's going like this, I'm done. It's over. Well, this boat's in the dock. It's tied up at the dock, but I walk on it.
Super calm water.
And I feel just that little bit, which is worse, because you know something's not right, but you don't see. So I'm on this boat going, honey, it's moving. I got to get on the boat because we're in the dock.
we went through the whole boat. She wasn't getting away.
We
with
did, but it was a little, I had to kind of like look out the porthole to kind of keep the horizon on. She knows exactly what I'm talking about. She's over there cracking up. So thank you. She knows, right? Exactly. When
It.
you
I don't
were
know
just-
what you're talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about, but yeah.
What are we doing over here?
I don't know. And this guy was in the Navy, so he doesn't understand it at all. You put him in a hammock and sway him like this, and he's, yeah.
well, how do you go to sleep? You got a rock, right?
yeah. Yeah. And we
know.
grew up on the Great South Bay. Everybody had a boat. You know, I could do that as long as you keep going. A
Long
speedboat's
Island
good, as long
rocks.
as
What
you
are you
keep
talking
going.
about,
Yeah,
huh?
it might. It
Hmm.
might. Yeah, it could be. So
Well-
anyway, that was the houseboat, and I was glad to get off it, but it was really pretty. I'm glad I saw it, and I'm glad you kept me on the boat. And then we finally get to Bolt Castle.
Ah,
Bolt Castle. There
look
it
at
is in the
that.
background. You have to take a ferry to get there. Bolt Castle's built on this island. You take a ferry, and you only get like a couple of hours there. So we did the tour through the house, and it was amazing. This man, Bolt, George Bolt, built this house for his wife. Now, the public story is, no, that's the yacht house. We're still back at the mansion. It's not finished. They started to put a pool in. And it just stopped. And the story goes,
mhm.
he was building it for his wife, and his wife suddenly died. And he just stopped building it because she was no longer around. Well, we talked to some locals. And
That wasn't the story that they
that
gave
wasn't
us.
the story they gave. No.
No.
You want to tell
Was
them
it
the
the
story?
butler?
It was the chauffeur, I
The
think.
chauffeur did it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
What happened was there was never a funeral for her. And all her friends from the city, from Manhattan, were wondering, why hasn't there been any service? Why hasn't there been anything? what happened to her? It was just she died. That's it. No more house. Well,
I think she went to Italy.
yeah, she
right?
was kind of spotted about 10 years later in Italy with the chauffeur. That's now that's rumor, but we heard that from some of the locals. So they said, yeah. So the story for publication is she died, and that was it.
That was it.
But that's why he got a little upset. and
So
stopped
don't
building
build
the
your
house.
wife a castle.
Don't
all
build
right?
your wife a castle.
The moral of the story. Every story's got a moral, right?
Honey,
All right.
that our cottage is our castle. That's our
Yes,
palace,
honey.
because we built it
it's all
ourselves.
wood. Don't worry about
It's
it. No
all
sheetrock in the
wood.
place.
It's got that pretty
it's good.
fireplace that we always have. Like,
Yeah, that's your castle, honey.
okay, this is a Long Island fireplace. This is, you can't see it down here. It's like gas
what,
or
they plug that
electric
thing
or
in?
something. You can't see it. Yes, we have real up in the Mohawk Valley. We have real fireplaces. My husband built one, and it's really pretty. Okay, but how do we get on that?
I don't
I don't know
know.
how we got on that
I
topic.
don't know. You're scaring me. I said, don't build you a castle. You went to the house.
Well,
I don't know.
they
It's a cabin in the woods. She thinks
that
it's
was
a
it.
castle.
That was it. Okay.
That's the kind of girl you got to get. Even if you don't have that kind of girl, you can brainwash them. I didn't say that.
You said
But-
you'd go off on tangents tonight because you
What?
had the coffee, but
Oh.
that's like a bit extreme. So
Well, it's your castle, ain't it? You said
Okay,
it.
all right, my
I'm just
castle.
saying why.
Not the Bull Castle, thank goodness, because she died or disappeared and went off with the show.
So that's the story
We
about
don't
this. But then the yacht house.
Okay, they had a yacht house. and
Look at that. That's a yacht house.
You needed to take a second ferry to get to the yacht house, but we didn't have time because we spent too much time at the castle and we didn't get to go there. So we said, oh, maybe we'll come back one day. So we were riding around
Yeah, we wanted to go to that other island. where they have the
Wellesley Island.
Campgrounds and stuff.
Wellesley Island. So we took
Right.
a motorcycle ride. And what do we see? We see signs for the Bolt Yacht House. And we're like, what the heck is that? Well, it ends up, you can ride to it. It's part of Wellesley Island, but there's no parking lot there. There's only enough for like 3 cars.
So they don't tell
So they
anybody
don't
you can
tell
drive
anybody
there.
that you can drive there. So all of a sudden we found ourselves at the back door of the yacht house. Look at this. So we went in and we took a look, and this is where they kept the yachts, and that's where they kept the La Duchesse, the houseboat with that word.
And we kind of got like a personal tour because the ferry left.
The ferry left. We didn't need the ferry. We had our
Great.
motorcycles, and it was really beautiful. You could live in there. I think they had an apartment in it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That they
right
could
there.
live in. There it is. That's part of the yacht house. I'd take the yacht house. I didn't need the castle.
Well, I like to keep my boat close too.
Oh
You know,
yeah, he loves
Not a fan.
boats. He loves boats.
With the ceiling and that.
Isn't
the
that
place is
beautiful?
extravagant.
The wood. We love wood. In case you couldn't tell from our house, we just love that kind of interior. And that was in the yacht house. It was just exquisite. It was gorgeous. So did we show the yacht house outside of it?
Yep.
We showed that picture already. Okay, so we go back to Clayton. We ride our bikes back to Clayton and we walk around, and we
Okay.
like to go to the churches. And we found this church. It's St. Mary's Shrine. Outside, it's a shrine to the Our Lady of Lourdes, and they had it at the local church, and it was really pretty. And I don't know, if you're Catholic and you go to a new church, you get 3 wishes. So that's one of the reasons we always try to find new churches. That's what we get 3 wishes whenever you go. So
Yes, and they're secret.
and they're secret, you can't tell anybody. But anyway, so that was just pretty in the neighborhood. You could just walk around, and then we found the train mural, which was right
Oh,
next
look at that.
door to the Historical
That's
Society.
not a mural. It's a real train.
Does
Can you
that
see
look
me
like-
standing on
yeah,
the
doesn't that
platform?
look like the chapters wrap, Steve? Doesn't that look like the chapters wrap thing? Doesn't it look like the chapters wrap thing with us at the train station? It looks just like it. So we saw that. We said, we got to take a picture. And Curtis said, everybody think I'm at a train station. So I took his picture.
Oh, it does look like I was painted into the picture, don't
Yeah, it
it?
looks like you were painted in
I'm
3D.
telling
Yes,
you, I
it
was
looks
standing
really-
right there.
Yeah. Okay, Rodney, come on. Come on. You're going to start riding.
It's like that time I got a kidney-shaped pool. They put a stone in it. Remember the time I was going to jump off the roof? They called the priest. You know what he says? On your mark. I'll tell you, I got no
No
respect at all. All right, back to the show. Where are we?
In fact, I don't know.
All right.
We've gone off on tangents. It's that double espresso.
Oh, look at that. Isn't that,
That was-
beautiful?
We drove up to Alexandria Bay.
Yeah.
And Alexandria Bay is just north of Clayton, and they had this beautiful hotel, and they had a terrace dining room. So we went out there and we had dinner, and we're watching the sunset, and we felt very very aristocratic.
Yeah,
Didn't we?
a sharp-looking guy right
As
there
a
too. That's
short-looking guy, and of course we're in our leathers. I think I was in my chaps, and we don't look very aristocratic. But there we were. There we were having dinner at the Alexandria Bay, and that's another whole area on Thousand Islands on the St. Lawrence Seaway. It's just a really pretty area. Nobody really goes there. Most New Yorkers don't even know about it.
We
or
didn't
where
know
it
much
is.
about it at all. And since we had the place upstate, it wasn't a home yet, but it was a hunting camp. And we said, all right, let's jump on Route 12 and shoot up there and see what we find.
And we just discovered all these great places up there that we didn't know about either. So now we're living up there, and we find some really fabulous rides. And we went south. Then we went back to Clayton, and then we rode south, and we discovered the Cape Vincent. It's actually the Tibbetts Point Lighthouse.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's this old lighthouse from the early 1800s, and it was there. We are just to prove that we were really there and didn't just wait to take a picture.
Yeah, it wasn't someone else.
But you couldn't go in it.
No.
Right? You couldn't
No,
go
I
in
couldn't
it.
go in.
But it was a really pretty old kind of like a
Oh.
stucco kind of lighthouse. It was really, really cool. So
And that's the lighthouse because that's where the St. Lawrence Seaway goes into Lake Ontario.
yes, right, where the two meet. And what we learned when we went to the Fire Island Lighthouse is that every lighthouse is timed. So when the light goes around, it takes like 7.5 seconds if you're at that beacon and only 6 seconds if you're another. So ships out there have that whole list. So they'll know, oh, we're at Tibbetts Point because that one's going around so many seconds before the light
Well,
comes
that's
around.
very pertinent when you're going around Long Island because there's so many lighthouses around Long Island.
Yeah, you need to know
Each
where
one
you
is
are.
timed a little bit different.
You need to know where you are.
Okay.
So we have the mini Route 66 pictures? When we got back home, we went up to Speculator and we discovered, because we love Route 66. We did that on our honeymoon. We did a show about that. And we found that there was a mini Route 66.
And I found the Queen there.
And there I am in my crown and sashes and my chaps and riding gear. It's kind of incongruent, but they have a little village. They have a market where you can buy vegetables and flowers, and then they had this whole back area by the marshes and the whatever river that was, I forget now.
Oh, they had that walk all the way
It had the
through there.
walk,
Yeah,
and it
that
was really
nice.
beautiful. You just take this beautiful walk through the woods there, and you can see that the marshland there. It's just really pretty thing to do.
This is all in New York.
It's all in New York, and it's called Mini Route 66, and it's in Speculator.
So the
New
point
York.
is, you don't have to go very far.
Right. And I'm going to say one shout out on our way back. All of a sudden, we were just on a very slow road, luckily. All of a sudden, I kind of lost a little control of my back wheel. I pull over, I had picked up a nail. And luckily, we were in an area we could get a phone signal because you can't always in the Mohawk Valley. And so a shout out to O'Connor Automotive. And you guys picked us up, got my bike there, and I rode on the back of Curtis's home, and we came back the next day and got it fixed, and they were wonderful. So thank you, O'Connor Automotive, for making that day a safe one for us. And I think that's all we have time for today. We're getting kind of the signal over there.
Well, thanks for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the show. All right, I might have been a little clowny today, but I had fun.
We had
It's all about having fun. So
And we're going to have some more news for you next week. Some exciting
Yeah.
news. So tune in. God bless. See you next week. And remember, it's never too late to follow your dreams.
take care now.
There was a dream, such a dream, just a staring at me, the stage on which I will be singing my song. Yes, I know before long I'll be there at the great. Yes, I know it's my fate.